Hey, how's it going? Dave 2D here. So the OnePlus 6 is supposed to come out relatively soon, sometime in Q2 of 2018, so probably like mid to late June is my guess. And there have been a lot of rumors as to what it's going to look like, what it's going to be like, etc. But because of the launch of the Oppo R15 and the Vivo X21, both of those are phones made by the same parent company, BBK, and because in the past some of the OnePlus phones have looked a lot like the Oppo phones, people think like, hey, it's going to be like, that's the phone, that's the OnePlus 6. But I disagree. I actually don't think that's what it's going to be like. We saw this picture leak at the end of February, and a lot of people dismissed it because it just didn't really look like the classic OnePlus phone, and it just didn't look like the Oppo R15 leaks that were happening. But I actually think this is the real OnePlus 6. I made a 3D model based on this picture just to kind of get a sense of what it would feel like and just kind of the placement of things based on that photo, and this is what it looks like. It's obviously not amazing. This is one of my very first attempts at modeling anything, but I thought I'd show you. Okay, I think the OnePlus 6 is going to look quite different from those other two Chinese phones. I think it's going to look more classically OnePlus, with the camera right in the middle, lined up with the fingerprint sensor. Now my reasoning is this. When the OnePlus 5 launched, a lot of publications and reviewers really liked the phone. It was a really good phone. But there was one issue that I think everyone kind of talked about, and it was its similarities in aesthetics to Apple's iPhone 7. And there was a little bit of backlash to this. I don't think OnePlus enjoyed the criticism, but they're different from your average Chinese phone manufacturer. They try to bring their stuff into North America. They try to bring their stuff into other markets outside of Asia. And when you get that type of criticism as a company like OnePlus, where you actually care about public perception of your brand and public perception of what you try to do with your phones, I don't think they're going to do that mistake again. I don't think they want to be criticized for copying Apple. So I really think that their design is not going to look like the Oppo R15 or the Vivo X21. It's going to look like that leak from a while ago. We're looking at dual cameras, vertically stacked with a fingerprint sensor on the back. But new for this year is the material. So instead of that sandstone finish that we saw with the original OnePlus phones or the anodized aluminum that we saw with like the newer generation phones, they're going with something completely different. This looks to be like a glass back, so something more similar to a Samsung phone. Now there's the possibility it's a ceramic material. We've seen OnePlus work with ceramics in the past, in the OnePlus X, but it just seems unlikely. See, on the Essential phone, any kind of ceramic phone, it's just a heavier phone, and on a larger phone like the OnePlus 6, I doubt they'll be using ceramic. My guess is it'll be glass. The other thing I noticed is that the notification switch looks like it's going to be positioned on the right. So every single OnePlus phone we've ever had before has had that notification switch on the left, like that slider where you can mute the notifications and stuff. It now looks like it's positioned on the right, just above the power button. Okay, let's talk about the display. The display is probably its most prominent change, and it looks like it's going to have a notch. And I think this is something that's quite polarizing. Some people hate the notch, some people are tolerant of it, some people might even like it, but regardless, the notch seems to be creeping into the Android space more and more. So we saw it first on the Essential phone. I think they did it quite well. They were the first people to do it, but with that tiny notch, it seemed okay. And then the iPhone 10 kind of brought it into mainstream. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, on one hand, I've seen so much of it that I've gotten used to it, but at the same time, it's a notch. And aesthetically speaking, objectively speaking, it's not a pretty thing, regardless of how you spin it. But it is what it is. I feel like Android has just kind of adopted the notch. We're even seeing notch support in the Android Peppermint developer preview. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be a thing. Now the good thing is that the OnePlus 6 is probably going to use an OLED panel, so the blacks will be quite black. It'll help to mask the notch, but it's still a notch. Okay, headphone jack. It's going to be on there. There's no way that OnePlus is going to remove the headphone jack from the OnePlus 6. Two reasons. One, I mean, it is OnePlus. They take pride in the fact that they have a headphone jack. But the big thing for me is OnePlus is huge in India. I think they're like one of the, if not the most prominent like luxury brand of smartphones there. And I mean, they love the headphone jack there. You remove that, you're just gonna decimate your audience. So they're not going to do that. OnePlus 6 is going to have a headphone jack. Okay, I want to talk about pricing. That's the last thing. We've seen price creep up very slowly over the course of these phones, and they basically go up by like 30 or 40 bucks every iteration. Now, if you follow that trend, if you kind of follow that pricing history, the OnePlus 6 should theoretically be like 530 bucks, but I just don't think they'll do it. Once they cross that $500 barrier for like the base model, the 64 gig model, it feels like a different phone. You just can't call it like a, less than $500 phone. I feel like the 64 gig model will still be $499, but that's just a wild guess, to be honest. It's just like an educated guess. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.